Filmed in front of a live studio audience, it's the Dicebreaker podcast with your host, Matt Jarvis.
Wait, the audience are in the studio?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what we do with the studio when we're not there. We just put all of the audience in
No, I
the...
know, it's really inefficient because we're not in the studio, so I don't
Yeah,
know
we've got to
what
use
they're
that room
doing
for
there.
something. This is just audience storage space.
There is a TV in there, so they can watch it live.
This is the biggest dad
like
joke.
the hotel room in
ever.
Old Boy, but...
And now he's referencing Old Boy. God.
Time to Old Boy has been achieved. Hello, it's Friday. Welcome back. It's the Dicebreaker podcast. I'm Matt Jarvis, your host as ever, joined by Alex Meehan. Hello, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing all right, thank you. Yeah, it's Friday, baby. And Liv and I just recorded a very fun video that we're looking forward to showing everyone. Although it's a members video, so you have to become a member to see it.
You have to become a member of
Dicebreaker Plus,
just like Toto here, who is a subscriber of Dicebreaker Plus.
He's a star of Dicebreaker Plus because you can get his face as a little emoji.
It is. It's true.
Yeah.
In fact, we've got Truce and Nathaniel Levy in here who are members right now. So if they want to spam the Toto face emoji in chat, that is entirely up to them.
Of course, rounding out our cast this week, as well as Toto, we have Toto's agent, Michael Wills-Whelan.
His ringside manager.
Is that really? Like, you've got a closer relationship than agent. He's your stinky son.
He is my stinky son. Thank you, Truce. Oh, he's gone now. It's fine. I have a very stinky cat at the moment because you know when they lick themselves but they have bad breath, so they become like just a wet blanket of bad breath smell, which is absolutely great.
A beacon of cat breath. The stank. The stank.
Like that.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's no good.
But yes, I am also here. Toto is filling in for Liv, who is unfortunately ill. You might have seen her on the thumbnail, but unfortunately she's not feeling great. So it's just going to be the four of us, if you include Toto. But yes, I'm here. I'm Wheels, Video Man, and we're going to talk about some board games.
Yeah, well, we hope you feel better soon, Liv. And for the sake of the last week we can do this, I feel, because we waved a sad farewell to Alex Lowley's this week. The bingo call for episode 83 is Ethel's Ear. Lowley's explained it, and I've forgotten the explanation, but it felt only right.
Oh, it was another fat joke, which is great.
Yeah,
whoever... all bingo calls written in like the 18th century or something.
Yeah, whoever wrote the bingo calls really had something against fat women.
It's time we cancelled the writer of bingo calls.
Yeah, just going back to that well over and over again.
They're going to have a comedy special on Netflix by the end of the week.
No, probably. Yeah. As is the way, and then they'll have an article in The Guardian telling everyone how they've been cancelled. Yeah. Anyway, we're here to chat about board game. We're not here to talk about,
gross stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say scum. I do mean scum.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about board games and other stuff. So should we just dive in? And let's dive in this week first with Alex Meehan.
Hello. Yeah.
What's been going on?
What have I been up to lately?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, board game wise,
we've had
I've
a
been
treat, haven't we?
Yeah. I think a lot of us have been playing the same board games because we were all together yesterday, physically,
together,
in the office.
Together. Actually, someone was playing that on my train home, just out of their, like in the way that I assume kids still do, but kids when I was going to school would just play music on the bus out of their phone. Like a tinny Nokia.
That is quite a speaker. Quite a power move.
Yeah, and was just playing. Is it High School Musical? Yes, I know it's High School Musical.
Wait, hang on, let's back up. Right, so kids, as you described them.
Kids, yes.
We're playing High School Musical song.
Out of their phone speaker, yeah.
Yeah, when did High School Musical come out?
2004, I think.
Why are they...
It's truly baffling.
That existed before they were even, considered a being.
Before they were a twinkle in the eye.
And not even Chad's I Don't Dance, the best song from the High School Musical franchise.
Of course you know the High School Musical franchise.
I'll be honest. I'm not much of an aficionado when it comes to High School Musical music. So
yeah, no, I mean I know the one that's like we're all in this together.
Yeah.
I know that one. And I think there's one that's like, yeah, no, the one that Zac Efron sings.
Yeah, Sharpay's song is pretty good. And Sharpay, Ashley Judd, appears in the new Dark Pictures anthology game.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's Ashley Judd of Sharpay of High
School.
Of
Sharpay fame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of my friends were like, "Oh, she's from High School Musical," and I was like, well, "Okay, well."
Anyway, Meehan, what have you been playing this week?
Yeah, enough about High School Musical.
Oh God, I feel like we should have a little counter that, like, just a upticking clock, and then we stop it whenever we get sidetracked. See what our record is.
that's gonna go nowhere. Yeah, what have I been doing this week? Okay, so in the office yesterday for Lowly's goodbye stream, we played several games, party games, in fact, chosen by Lowly's. Some of those games are ones that I have played before and spoken about before on this podcast, including Cockroach Poker, also known as Cocky Roach Poker, which is a great game, and
also
you played for the first time.
Bring
out your toads, yeah.
Kakalaka party.
Yeah. And that's always great. What did you think of it, Wills? Because it was the first time you played it.
Yeah, I was amazed that you had not played before.
I've not played any of the little creepy crawly games, and I had such a good time yesterday. I loved all of the games we played, honestly. Some were better than others, but yeah, I still had a great time with all of them. Cockroach Poker is not as good as Cheating Moth, but it is fun. It's like, it reminds me of Skull. It's that kind of like really like diluted down, not diluted, sorry, really just sort of like
focused.
Yeah, focused. That's a better way of describing it. Really focused sort of bluffing game where it is literally, do you believe the thing I just said? And then the only other real element is the fact that you can pass it on and carry on the lie, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I genuinely really had a great time with all the things we played. Cheating Moth was definitely
Cheating Moth is incredible.
Yeah, I was delighted by how much you loved Cheating Moth.
I laughed so much in that stream I gave myself a headache. Like, it was
Yeah, it was an especially fun moment. When I was sat there, so for those who may not know and didn't watch the stream yesterday, but you should have, frankly. Cheating Moth is a game where it's like two different games in one. So it's a game where you're playing a card game where you have to place cards of a number higher or lower. Yeah, then the card in front of you, and some of those cards have special action. But then the other game is everyone except the guard bug is trying to cheat by putting cards in various places in the hopes that the guard bug won't see. And the amount of times, I think it was in the second game, where I was sat there and I think Liv was the guard bug, and I was seeing like all of you like cheating so many times. Like sometimes once after, like straight after you'd already just cheated. So like I swear I saw like Wheels be like drop a card and then like put a card like over there, like in the space of 10 seconds. And I was sat here going, you absolute wild man.
I just
I can't believe you're doing this.
One of my favourite mechanics about cheating off is the fact that like you're always allowed to cheat. You can get rid of any card apart from your last one by cheating. There are cards where you are forced to cheat to get rid of them as well, which are the eponymous cheating moths.
Cheating moths, yeah.
But the best thing is the fact that only the guard bug can call you out, and the rules specifically say if you're not the guard bug, you are not allowed to say that someone's cheating.
No, you can't say anything.
So I could have just stared Meehan in the eyes, throw a card to the other side of the room, and just go like that, and it's
just smiled.
The theatre of it is so good.
Yeah, I was seeing like from the corner of my eye, I saw Matthew Jarvis, our very own Matthew Jarvis, editor-in-chief, chuck a card like to the side. And I was just watching this spectacle, and poor Liv was trying to catch people out.
It's really difficult with more people, I would say, because we played before with 3 people, and you can just about switch. It's kind of the end of the good, bad, and the ugly. You're just kind of like looking across at the 2 of them, but with 5 of us. At some point, because you have to keep your hands on your cards above the table, because there are rules to the cheating.
Yeah,
you're not
you can't just chuck your
able
hand
to
away
just
end of.
But I had them on the edge of the table, and then I would just hold them, and then just use my thumbs to gently slide them out. And because I was blocking them with the cards themselves,
you did that, and Loli's called you out,
and it hadn't dropped.
It got stuck to my thumb. Yeah.
My favorite bit of the game was like when I was like testing the water at the start, and I don't think anyone noticed, but the first card I played of the game was double stacked. I had a cheat card underneath it. I just went, yeah, here you go.
That's
card.
very good.
Yeah, which I don't know if anyone else really did, but that's like one of the most
good,
classic ways of cheating.
Yeah.
That's in the rules, yeah. Because you're hiding a card, 1 card at a time. So that's
my favorite part of that cheating Moth playthrough was where you were doing a shout out to Loli's
and everyone else.
And Loli's just was like, "Oh, thank you," and then just dropped one of my cards.
Just while everyone was like all eyes turned to Loli, and then she just dropped.
What are you doing? Like, I can't believe you
waited
just did
until
that.
she was visible to the entire team, and then threw a card away. Incredible.
But yeah, no, cheating Moth was a big hit. I believe you just bought a copy.
No, genuinely, it's arriving today. I literally, as soon as we finished, went on. I think I got it on Amazon, which I know is not the nicest place to buy board games from, but I was just like, I need this now because I've got some friends coming around this weekend as well to watch AEW Full Gear, which I'll be talking about in a bit. But yeah, no, I just, it's so much fun. I genuinely, I think that's one of the best times I've had with a card game in a long time.
Yeah, it slaps. We also played some games I hadn't played before, including Shifty Eyed Spies.
Oh god, that was difficult to understand.
Slowly's brought in. And yeah, I was not very good at that game. I don't think it helped that I didn't really understand what we were supposed to be doing until like well into playing it. And I don't know whether that's just because I didn't listen properly or whether, just got a bit confused. But...
To be honest, I was the same as you for a lot of the game, which I think didn't help because I had you, like I was meant to be communicating to you, and I think you were meant to be communicating back to me.
Yeah,
so the fact we were both kind of confused as we'd look at each other and then nothing would really happen. And that happened with me and pretty much everyone else as well. It's like, so you have a person and a place, and you wink at the person, but you're meant to do it in a way where you don't get caught. And then they're meant to communicate the place that they are holding to you. And then you basically say, I am meeting the person you winked at the place that they communicated to you. But I struggled to understand that for the first few rounds. I thought I was meant to be also telling them the place I had in my hand.
Yeah.
Which, was then confused me, but meant that I would start winking at people and then like looking at the places, and then the briefcase where it gives you your turn to guess would come around to me, and I wouldn't know what to say because I didn't know what I could guess because people would wink at me and I would then look at them to try and find out where I thought I was meant to be going.
So
but, yeah,
I think if you like the idea of Shifty Eyed Spies but the execution fell for you, I think you should try, if you haven't already, Dead Last by Smoke and Dagger. Dead Last is a game. It's themed after like Reservoir Dogs. Like everyone is a color, and it's got that like very stark like black, white, and one color imagery. And essentially, it's best in like big groups of people. So say you've got like 10 people around a table. Everyone has their color assigned to them. So say I'm orange, and Meehan is pink, and Matt is blue. Then you have a hand of cards in front of you with one card for each other player's color, and then you all, without sort of saying anything out loud, you all vote on the person who's going to get whacked, essentially. So you're all just sort of like conferring with each other. Yeah, we're gonna kill me in this round. We're gonna kill Matt this round, etc., etc. But you can't talk because every single person also has a color card that's themselves, which is an ambush. So if they realise that they're the person being targeted, they lay an ambush, and instead they get to whack one of the people who voted for them. And the other thing is that you have to be in the majority to survive. So if 8 people vote for orange and you voted for blue, even though you're not the target, you still get pushed out because you weren't part of the scheme. So you spend the whole thing just sort of like looking around everyone, just being like... It's like, it's got that same vibe of like, we're all just winking and like looking at certain people. And like, you know, someone goes up for a wee and we're all like, okay, we're going to kill them, yeah. Thank you very much.
That's awful.
But yeah, no, it's great. And then it like Toto shouting.
I can hear him. I can hear him go.
And then it keeps sort of like whittling the group down until it's just 2 people, and then you basically play golden balls.
Oh wow!
Where you do the split, share or kill or whatever.
Yeah, Prisoner's Dilemma.
Yeah, but it's really good, and I think it's got the same vibe. So if you want to hear, or rather, if you want to try something with like a similar energy, but not Shifty Eyed Spies, like it's a bit less confusing because you are literally just like, I'm going to vote for this person. That's pretty much the only interaction you have, but it's all about the meta play around the table.
Yeah, no, I do like the idea of Shifty Eyed Spies. I don't know whether it felt like there was enough going on in the game for me to really be that engaged with it.
Yeah.
Especially when I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing. So it was kind of like I was looking around and just seeing people being like, oink. And then I would look over and see Matt Jarvis be like, oink. And I'd be like, I kind of don't really know what's going on. But yeah, and also the front cover of that box is great. And the name Shifty Eyed Spies.
The holographic eyes.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Just want to scratch them. Just that little like...
no, it looks like that scratch and sniff sort of texture, doesn't it? Would you like a fun fact? It's a gaming fact. It's not a board game fact, it's a gaming fact.
Hashtag gaming facts.
I'll tell you what, I'll do it as a trivia question, see if anyone knows. What was special about the original PlayStation 1 release of Gran Turismo?
Did it like smell like a car or something?
It had a scratch and sniff petrol smelling disc. So when you scratch
the disc?
No, you know the top bit where the logo is.
Oh, okay.
You scratch that bit and it would smell of petrol.
Why?
Lovely.
Because
petrol's not a nice smell.
It was the PS1. No, there are a lot of people who like the smell of petrol, actually, to be fair. I hate it, but like when I've been in like petrol stations with people or gas stations, if we have any USSs, and they've been like, oh, I love that smell for some reason, you know.
No. Wouldn't it stink when you like actually played the disc though?
I don't think so, because it didn't rub against anything.
I was gonna, the idea of it, spinning in the thing, and then you going, I can smell something, and then thinking that your PS1's about to catch fire.
Yeah, my PS1's gonna explode. And the thing is, like my PS1, I had one of the fancy ones. I didn't have the original.
Oh, madame.
I had a PS1.
The rounded.
We had one of the dodgy ones with the spring that meant you could play pirate discs. Because I'm from Luton.
But yeah, that one I think took the final step into the afterlife, like a few years ago. R.I.P. to
rest in peace, PlayStation 1.
My PS1,
the PSX,
my purple GameCube, my sweet baby, my lunchbox. The Xbox we had that got to a point where you would put the disc in and it would just immediately vomit it out. You put it in, press the button, it go like that, and then it would immediately go like rejects it like a baby not wanting to eat.
It's like that Uno automated version where it spit cards at you.
What you had to do was you had to hold your finger on the disc drive, right? And I could feel it like trying to eject. And it would make those noises. And then it would go. You just had to hold it there long enough.
Trick it into playing your game.
Like feeding a cat a pill. Hold that baby in.
Covering it in peanut butter to just get it to legend.
Get it in there. But I think it has now breathed its final gasping breath. But that thing was a monster anyway. Like, if you drop down someone's head, it probably would kill them.
Like the original Xbox.
The original Xbox.
Oh yeah, that thing was like a bomb shelter by itself.
Yeah, you could like have, just quickly, Will, you could have like an entire weapon arsenal with an Xbox and the controllers, because you could use like the Xbox like a shield or just something to drop on someone, and you can use the controllers as like flails. Like
I'm playing Red Dead 2 at the moment on Zoe's Xbox Series X. Is that what they're called now? Honestly, nothing makes me feel like more of an old man than Microsoft's console range. But you can like set your theme for your homepage. You can set the background to the original Xbox glowing green orb.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, big
like the weird blob thing,
yeah,
the
green thing.
like a lava lamp. Yeah,
So
yeah,
good.
and I still remember when we were kids and my parents would take us on holiday to the countryside, and we would stay in a very old cottage. One of the things that I used to do was I used to use my brother's Xbox as like a CD player, so I would play CDs in it.
The PS2 was one of the best DVD players you could buy.
Yeah, that's why it sold so well. Yeah, and I remember using my PS1 as a CD player, because some games as well, if you put them in after you got to the screen, you could play the tracks. I think Fur Fighters had like some tracks that you could play.
Go into the little storage bit.
Yeah.
Fur Fighters.
There's
that sounds like a game. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also like the fact that if you play some of the older games on Game Pass, like I played Skate like a while ago. That's why we got into skateboarding again. But it doesn't like play it on Xbox Series X. It emulates the 360. So when you press the home button, it brings up the classic like pop art. Oh, mate, it's so good. The nostalgia you get out of that thing is incredible.
Anyway, we talked about board games.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, we played that, and then we also played a Yogi, which was an experience.
Yeah.
I like that game. If it was like £5-6, I probably would buy it.
I think it's better than Twister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, I don't know if you do know, it was originally released as In a Bind by a designer called Bez. And she released it. The original version was this very kind of like indie release. It was literally a deck of cards in like a normal deck of cards box, but she illustrated all of the cards herself. So instead of the kind of like pop culture references, it's more of this kind of like abstracted style. And I think I will get onto this later because it was something I was going to mention. But I think I prefer that one.
Nice
like it's effectively the same game. I think there's some minor changes to the cards, but yeah, it's just incredible. It's one of those games that I try to introduce to everyone I meet because I think it should be bigger than it is. Like with Happy Salmon, which we also played.
I love the art.
Just a stone cold classic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The Inner Bind art is really cool for anyone who wants to give it a Google.
Yeah. I don't know if Bez still sells them directly because obviously it's been re-released as Yogi, but she used to also just send them out by hand. And I think she used to do a custom illustration on each one she sold or something like that.
Is Bez the person who did the that deck that can be used to play like 100 games or something?
Wibble plus, but I think it's called something else now. It's got a different name. But it's like the deck of letter cards that can be used to play multiple word games.
Bez
she makes
Bez is
fantastic
very cool,
games.
man. Shout out to Bez.
I will say, the art style of Yogi doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah.
It's very like...
It's very game you would buy in Waterstones. Do you know what I mean? Or John Lewis.
Yeah, John
Lewis gift section.
Yeah, but actually playing it was very fun and very painful. It's like Twister, but you don't have the mat.
Oh yeah, we haven't actually described how the game works.
Yeah,
so basically, you've got like a deck of cards that all say like a position you need to hold. So for example, left finger in the air, or like put this card touching your neck, or balance this card on the top of your head, or whatever. But then you keep going around drawing new cards and having to hold all of them at once. So you could end up in positions where like both of your hands are stuck to your neck, so you can't draw a card. So you have to ask someone else to help you and stuff. But basically it's just how long... Whoever wins is the person who can hold the ridiculous position they've ended up in the longest.
Whoever wins, they lose.
Yeah. After a while, your body just starts breaking apart.
Yeah, it does just wrap you into a pretzel shape
Yeah.
at some point because you're trying to hold so many cards along one or both arms. It's
if you love
fantastic.
Twister but need a socially distanced variant, then there you go.
And Twister is just a bit naff anyway because it's the same thing repeated.
It's boring.
It basically just gets to your arms and legs ache because you're just bent over a bit. But
you basically just bent. Yeah.
This has that momentum of building up and building up, where it's like relatively easy at the start, and as it goes on, it gets harder rather than just
become a human house of cards.
In the condition my back was in yesterday, Twister definitely was not an option.
Yeah.
No, I had fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good.
I mean, we played one more game yesterday.
Yeah.
One
what
more
game. Was that? What holy relic was that, Will?
The original Happy
The original.
Salmon.
The best.
Yeah. A game that has spawned this week's segment that we'll
Literally.
get onto later. Literally spawned it.
Yes.
Spawned.
Yeah, very good. More like scorned, am I right, lads?
Yeah. Spawned a lowly, like, like something like a Frankenstein's monster style thing where it could just because it could, it shouldn't have.
Delicious cluster of content eggs.
Yes.
Yum.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Happy Salmon. Yeah, Happy Salmon is a game that's very dear to the Dicebreaker.
Incredibly
heart,
so. Because
it is one of like the games that you lot, the video team, really played a lot of in PAX. When was what? Oh,
PAX.
Matt was there as well.
Was it Unplugged?
I think we played it at Unplugged 2019. Yeah, I can't remember. I think Lolies and I knew of it before.
I had never played it.
I knew of it before as well, but no, it's a game that we have all been big fans of, and it is very simple.
You do this.
Yeah, there are different like gestures that you do with someone else, and you have to get through your deck of cards as quickly as possible by finding someone else to do the same gesture with you at the same time. So there's like pound it, there's high five, and of course the eponymous Happy Salmon, which makes the most wonderful noise.
Do it over the internet.
I feel like you need to wait. Hold on. If you do that, I'll do the noise.
Oh no, I can't hear the noise, Matt. We can't hear the noise.
Yeah, we can't hear it.
It's too loud.
Oh really? Oh well, if I talk over the top of it, maybe it'll pick up.
A little bit.
Slap.
Yeah, it's going to be really confused with the audio version.
But one of the most wonderful things about it is that it comes in a lovely felt bag that looks like a salmon.
Oh, it did.
An actual fish bag. And
fish bag.
And
not the bad kind.
The reprobates who have taken over have done something truly terrible to it that we'll be talking about
we'll get
later.
to that. Yeah, we're teasing it like a horror movie would tease the eventual appearance of a monster. But yeah, that's we played all of those games yesterday. My goodness.
I mean, Cookie Cat 94 in the chat says Happy Salmon stream when? Yesterday.
Whole stream.
The first time we played it on the channel, but we've spoken about it many times before.
So go and watch the stream from yesterday. You can see us play Happy Salmon, or at least try to over a table.
I don't know if we could do a full Happy Salmon stream.
Lodi's almost ripped our white screen in half.
Yeah, we would collapse after like 10 minutes of it.
It is an
it's
intense
quite
game.
Intensive, but it's very fun. Other than that, I've not really been playing many other board games this week. Matt and I played some more Avatar.
Yes, we did.
The RPG. We're still on that train.
We continue to drag out the end of our campaign because we've been enjoying it so much. Run by a wonderful news reporter, Chase. Who's been serving as GM, but it's right up. I think it's like one of my favorite, if not my favorite, RPG campaigns I've ever done. Oh, wow. I think part of that is down to the fantastic GMing. Part of that's down to just enjoying that world so much. The character that I'm playing, I think, is my favorite RPG character I've ever been. So I'm just kind of sad to say goodbye to her at some point, and I feel like I'm just gonna bring bits of her into future characters because I've just enjoyed.
Sorry, I'm just going to have to interrupt the podcast because I'm being flirted at by a super chat. TJ Growler says Wheels is looking particularly handsome in this half-light. Thank you, TJ. I appreciate it. It's not supposed to be as dramatic as it looks, but I don't have the ring light here, so I'm just being lit by this window.
Absolute narcissist.
Zoe says I was already handsome.
Oh, see, that's made it wholesome. I agree with Matt. This campaign is really, really good, and I think what really helps, other than having an excellent GM in Chase, I feel like both the rule set of the game and this avatar itself, because it is a television show, it makes it so much easier to have character arcs and development, because you kind of look at it like this is an episode in the television show. Like, how would that work in watching Avatar, for example? Like, and then that really helps ease you into that kind of mode of, how has my character changed since the beginning? Like, how are they reacting to these events? Like, what kind of relationships have they developed with the other player characters and non-player characters? So I think it is just a stroke of genius to kind of adapt a television show into, a role-playing game, and to do it as well as it's done. It is
kind
really
of what
good.
Apocalypse World's all about as well, or Powered by the Apocalypse. Sorry, like it's like with Monster of the Week and all that kind of stuff. Like it does thrive in those sort of like episodic style games.
It is excellent for that. And like our last session, our other player just messaged me at one point saying, "You made me cry." Because we're playing these characters who have kind of gone from like enemies-ish in terms of like they are from two very culturally different backgrounds, opposed nations. They do not necessarily like each other and do not understand each other, to now where they are standing together against like a threat that these circumstances have pushed them together.
Never thought I'd die standing side by side with an elf.
but replace that with Fire Nation person with Water Nation person. But that's what Avatar is so good at, though. Like what we're doing feels like a storyline that you would watch in like Avatar or Korra. Like, it is a show about how differences aren't supposed to push people apart. They're just supposed to, make them unique individuals, but that doesn't mean they can't empathize with one another. Like it's these, forces that are trying to separate people who can actually form close relationships with each other.
Yeah, I think it helps that the characters as well are like early to late adolescence, so there's kind of that natural sense of coming of age that a lot of people build into RPG characters anyway, but here it's just quite baked into the system because I think, like you say, it's built around that show, it's built around that kind of arc. So a lot of the focus is like, okay, you have two different roles and you swing between them and you're trying to kind of push towards one or the other at points, depending on, so for instance, you could have responsibility but then also freedom, and for early to late teenagers, finding where you fit between those kinds of two ideals is like often a part of like maturing and coming of age. So I think the system just embodies that really well.
I think the playbooks are really, really excellently like formed and chosen, because they are archetypes that aren't just seen in the show, but also like they fit very well in that in allowing for character development and arcs, because it's about the push and pull between these two different sides of a person and trying to find balance there. And then when you don't find balance, it's the case of sometimes they will make mistakes, or sometimes they will be push away from people or feel misunderstood or misunderstand others. So is not only thematically, suitable for being based on Avatar and Korra, it also works incredibly well for creating drama, because it's like these people are disagreeing because they have very different viewpoints on this situation. But no, Avatar's great. Other than that, I watched Dune last night.
Oh yeah.
Well, you'll be happy to know there's about 8 different board games based on that movie. Now, so...
Yeah, there are like a billion board games now based on the new movie Dune. Very specifically based on that film. Like, they're very upfront about that, because clearly Warner Brothers have like made sure to have. Yeah, we're pushing this Dune film.
It's quite funny that in the era that we grew up in, it was the movie tie-in video game. Now that we've matured, it's the movie tie-in board game that seems to
there aren't so many movie tie-in video games anymore, I must admit. And if there are, then... I mean, I think
it's definitely a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper to make, but also, like, I think video game, movie adaptations have developed such a poor reputation in many ways that they're almost like, cursed in a way, or like they're looked down upon as like, this is cheap.
Big shout out to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
I heard good things about that one.
It's great. I think there's a reason behind that, and that mechanics from board games are more easily transferable to different themes. Whereas video games, you can just criticize a video game because a bland third-person shooter that happens to take place in the world of James Cameron's Avatar is just, is just naff.
Yeah, I think.
Whereas if you take a solid kind of mechanical framework of a board game and dress it up with good art and visuals, because you're less reliant on the world or the story in a lot of cases.
I was going to say,
it depends on the board
the story
game,
is the biggest issue as well, isn't it? It's like, why play the same thing I just watched?
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas in a board game, you don't really have as much of an issue with that, do you?
Yeah. No, I'm as much as like it's easy to be skeptical, and I am somewhat skeptical by the fact that there are so many board games based on Dune. Like, we've been sent several of them, and sometimes it's gotten to the point where I'm like, number one, either I'm confused because I got one mixed up with the other, or where I'm like, wait, there's this one? I didn't know about this one. So we got sent Dune Betrayal, which is not one I was aware of, which is a social deduction game by Don Estridge, who did like the Resistance, right? And Avalon as well.
I am pretty convinced it's just going to be the Resistance with Dune art. But...
I'm fairly
convinced.
The Resistance is really good. Like, I got a bit disappointed actually, because Matt was like, "Oh, we're being sent that new Don Estridge game," and I was like, "Oh, Est, right?" And then he was, "Oh no, the Dune one."
The other one, or the other.
There's a Dune one. At first, I was like, "There's a Dune one," and I was like, "Oh, okay, no Quest," because I really want to play that. But the ones I'm excited to kind of maybe get my hands on if it ever happens is we've been sent 2 copies of Dune. Was it Game of Conquest and
Diplomacy?
Cocaine
Diplomacy,
Planet.
Cocaine Planet. There's that one. There's Dune House Secrets, which is the Portal Games one that is based on the detective kind of franchise. The detective a modern crime board game system, which sounds quite interesting because Dune as a setting, I think, is very interesting. And after watching the film last night, I'm like, okay, I'm invested in this. And the one Dune Imperium, which I still haven't managed to get my hands on, because Dyer will continue to ignore me.
Is that the one that's a republish of the original?
No.
You're
getting confused.
That's a game of conquest and diplomacy.
Right, but there's also a
different,
sort of
then this
chilled
is a
out
different
version
one.
of that one now as well, right?
That is that one.
Wait, it's the same game.
So
this is confusing.
Dune, the board game, released in 1979 based on a book rather than the Lynch film.
Right.
Went out of print for like 30 years. Is considered a classic. Is a classic. It's a fantastic game. Was finally reprinted in 2019. It was
remade though, right? It was fully.
It was reprinted in 2019, so it was basically the same game mechanically. with new artwork.
Made adjustments to it.
So,
Look,
Dune,
audience,
a game of...
If we're confused, I'm very sorry.
Dune, a game of conflict and diplomacy, which came out this year, is the retooling of that original game. So that's the one you're thinking of. They've slimmed down the player count. I think it's now 2 to 4 players.
Right.
Whereas the other one is best at like 4,
But there
5,
is a
6.
reprint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a reprint
there
of
are
the
2
original.
modern versions of that game. One that is just a one-to-one, and one that's a like reimagining.
One that's like simplified, basically. And
I
think it plays in about an hour or 2. Whereas like Dune, the original, is like
full on
3, 4, 5, 6 hours.
Like Twilight
it's
Imperium
long.
levels.
It's incredible, and it is unbelievably harsh. It's similar to something like Diplomacy.
Yeah, I've seen the same chat message.
Yeah, it says, "Oh, you like Dune? Name every board game."
The thing is, at this point, unless others have popped out of the woodwork, I probably could because of my job. So if anyone actually said that to me, I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, I can do that."
There's a lot of Dune going on.
Dune Imperium is the deck building game that was released last year, I think.
Yeah.
And it's by Direwolf, who make Clank, which is a deck building game that I love. So I was like, hello, nurse. Dune plus deck building game from Clank creators. So I was on that as soon as it was announced. And I was like I was sending messages to Direwolf saying, Direwolf, please can you send me your copy? Please, I really want this game. And then they just ignored us. So, I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to get my hands on that. But,
I think it's more widely available now. The problem was at the time it had a limited release, I think, because of the pandemic. We have a review on the website if people are interested.
Yeah, if people are interested in it. It was mostly positive. I think there was I think that's generally been the reception to it. Because it's a deck building game with area control elements. And I actually have been really, really into deck building games that are like part of it's deck building plus other bits, because I kind of feel like the natural progression of deck building games has been this. It's like started with something like Dominion, which is like a classic old deck building game. And now they've developed to like, hey, deck building is just kind of part of this thing that also complements it, like Clank, like Lost Ruins of Arnak, and like this game, like that. Just really does it for me, you know. But hey, Direwolf, if you're listening, you know, I want to play it. But Dune Apocalypse is very much upon us, and no.
Sorry, I've muted it on the stream. Don't worry, so no one heard it. But then you all went silent, so
it was very confusing.
I was like, "Are you calling Toto baby?" Right.
Toto baby.
You could call him that. Yeah. Toto baby. Hey.
Oh, Toto baby, how's it going? How's my favorite cat?
That's what I've been doing.
All right.
45 minutes in.
Well, I think you've covered a lot.
We've all roughly played mostly the same thing.
I haven't really played much else this week in terms of board games, at least.
Anime. I could feel it coming. It's riding up the hill.
I'm always watching anime. We finished So I'm a Spider. So what this week? That last episode is bad. The budget clearly ran out. Anyway, look, you brought this up, not me. I went back to World of Horror, which is a PC game recently.
Oh,
and it got me thinking about how they could make a really good Arkham Horror Files game like that isn't that Mother's Embrace game. It's really bad.
Oh god, Mother's Embrace.
But World of Horror is just such an incredible game. It's like someone made the perfect game for me, because it's basically Junji Ito horror meets old style.
I know this game. I know
PC
this game. I saw
game.
someone play it.
It's really
I know
good.
This game.
It
does have a really, really interesting aesthetic.
Yeah.
And it is very Japanese horror, which is something I've been interested in but never quite got into yet.
So I wish they would make an Arkham Horror game like that, because it's as close as you can get to something like an Arkham Horror on the PC. I think. Don't play Mother's Embrace; it's bad.
That's
basically been my week. Wills, what have you been up to?
So I played all of those party games. We also, Meehan, did an escape room. We went down.
We did.
Yeah, we went down
You made it
to
out.
peer pressure to film the second ever episode of Dice Breakout with Meehan and Liv, and that is actually it's premiering on Saturday, 6 o'clock GMT, and we've actually got a trailer that you can watch. So if you click on the premiere, you can watch a trailer for a little sneak peek. There's something
Right
we're
now?
trialing, which is very exciting. Zoe is now boiling a kettle. Zoe has forgotten how podcasts work. Your mum's coming soon. Okay, well that's fine. We'll be done soon. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Little
Special guest star.
special guest star.
Zoe's mum. What have you been playing, Zoe's mum?
What have you been playing, Zoe's mum? So yeah, no, we did that, which is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Expect that to be coming out. It's got a sort of like bomb shelter, like the bombs are falling kind of vibe. Like you've got 60 minutes to get prepared. For anyone who hasn't watched the first episode of Dice Breakout, it is a show in which we try and beat the current record escape rooms across the world. We've obviously only done 2 so far in
A concept that was always built for total success and
Yes.
nothing else.
Yeah, always
Just
success. Every
absolute
time.
hubris going in. Like, we will smash
But
the
the thing
record
is, here's
every
the
time.
magic of it, Matt. One day we will actually do
One
it.
day we will.
And it will genuinely be
And then the series ends.
the peak.
Yeah. Matt, this
Um,
is like Golden Balls.
No, Matt, it's like
When they
wrestling.
break
You know, you
golden
become the
rules.
world champion, but it's like, can you retain the belt? Can he do it again? You know, there's
No.
so much
it's like-
storytelling there.
Yeah.
It's like Golden Balls because people rarely win in that game, but when they do, it's like, whoa.
Oh, I thought you meant because they had to take it off air because someone just
Someone
broke the
broke
logic
it.
of the game.
Yeah, we'll break one of the.
We'll break your
breakout
escape
rooms.
room. Invite us.
Yeah.
But also this weekend, the pay-per-view that I've been waiting for my entire wrestling life, which is about 2 years. No, it's not even that, is it? It's about a year and a half,
Yeah.
probably. AEW Full Gear is this weekend. We're doing a watch party, which I'm very, very excited for, because we're going to go see the anxious millennial cowboy Hangman Adam Page win the AEW Heavyweight Championship, hopefully.
What is that, Toto? Is he?
Yeah,
gonna be
Toto's
competing?
going to have a big belt right
Whoa,
here.
look
It's
at
very
that.
exciting. You just
Yeah,
don't
I
know
have-
what to do you, mate?
For the last like 10 seconds or so,
Mhm.
I've had absolutely no idea what you said, but
Wrestling.
I'm happy for you.
That's
We're
wrestling.
watching wrestling. It's like it's a pay-per-view event. They do like 4 a year, and they're always like a big deal.
Pay-per-view.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, the way you said it
Paper.
made it sound like you were saying pay-per-view, and
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
what
one of
is
those.
that?
It's one of those shows where you print it off at home.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, this
Print
is
and play
exciting.
wrestling show.
You, like, you do the thing when you
You pull them out.
flip,
Yeah.
through the thing.
paper
You're like,
dolls.
oh, there's like a wrestling thing going on.
But yeah, no,
it-
that's very exciting. Yeah, so we've got some friends over to join us for that. And yeah, that was pretty much me this week. I am going to play a lot more Cheating Moth, hopefully, as well.
Yeah, we love a bit of cheating Moth. Yeah, well,
Right.
I think that's everything.
Look at that. Tightly in the hour.
Less
All
than
right.
an hour.
beautiful.
Let's roll on over to this week's news. By the way, I forgot to mention this at the top of the show for those watching live, which you can do every Friday from 2 p.m. BST. We have had some email trouble with our podcast email, which is podcast@dicebreaker.com. But don't email that right now because it's not working and hasn't
Yeah,
worked for a
it's
few
not
days, we've
working.
discovered. So if you've got any questions and you're watching along live, please drop them in the chat,
Yeah,
because
please
I
drop
didn't actually manage to pull any this week because we've been very busy. And then I looked at the inbox and went, oh, this isn't working as it should be. So yes, please drop them in the chat. But
Yeah.
hopefully by the time folks listen to this on Catch Up or the audio version, that email should be fixed again. We just had a slight tech hiccup where everything vanished into the void for a bit. All right, let's get into this week's news.
Before we start the news very
Oh,
quickly, I just want to point out, Nathaniel Levy says, pay-per-view wrestling, you make the card and pick the winners. This has to be a roll
That's
and write
very
at some
good.
point. Someone make pay-per-view wrestling a roll and write game, please. Thank you
That'd
very
be
much.
great,
Thanks,
yeah.
man. And also, we record this podcast live every Friday, 2 p.m. BST. So if you want to come and join in the live chat, come have a little say, ask us a question.
Yeah.
If you don't want to
Yeah.
email us, then come on over and join us. But let's...
There's
get some news.
there must be a good pun in card. For those not in wrestling speak, card is like who's
it's the
who's
event.
appearing.
It's like,
who's matching up
fighting
against who.
is a card.
Like
yeah.
there's got to be a cardboard thing or card game or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, news
God, I feel like
time.
it's anime again.
Look, wrestling and anime are
I
basically the
understand,
same
Meehan.
thing. They are almost effectively the same thing.
Yeah.
By the way, there is an anime about a wrestler who heads out to destroy monsters and then decides that he's actually going to open a pet shop and adopt them all instead.
There's in New Japan Wrestling, there's Tiger Mask, who was originally a manga character, and they made it into a real wrestler, and they passed the mask along through the generations. Yeah. So you never know who it is, but it's always Tiger Mask.
Can they live a life outside of that? Is it like like the Grey Fox from Oblivion?
The Grey Fox.
Once they put the mask on, they cannot be recognized for anything else. But
you got to keep it kayfabe, you know. Like,
yeah, exactly. The Grey Fox would be great at kayfabe. Anyway, the news.
News.
Alex Meehan.
Hello. Yeah.
Would you like to tell us about this new game from the creator of Mice and Mystics?
Oh my goodness, Matt Jarvis! I haven't been able to sleep because all I can think about is this new game from the creator of Mice and Mystics.
So sincerity is what people come to us for.
I could have been sincere, you don't know.
You could have been.
Yeah, no, sorry. Very serious now. Jerry Hawthorne, designer of Mice and Mystics and Stuffed Tales, which are two games I've not played, but I've heard good things about.
I've played the first Mice and Mystics. And it's a dungeon crawler. Like it's you kind of know what you get. It's got like a storybook vibe. So you read out a story and then you play the mission.
Yeah.
But it was obviously came out a while ago, so it's still like it seems quite generic now. But I think at the time it was quite
quite big. Yeah. Well, this looks like a new game called Familiar Tales. It's also got animals in it. But they are wizard familiars. So there's like a fox and like a fairy and a frog person, which is the one I want to play as.
I knew it was coming, yeah.
Yeah, and they are tasked with looking after a princess whose family has been brutally murdered.
Wow.
And
kids are gonna love this game.
Yeah, kids are gonna love it.
We gotta get more brutal family murder in for the kids.
And so she's like the heir to the throne, so they have to protect her because monarchy. And so not only will you be battling terrible evil forces who are trying to get her, you are also going to be teaching her about the world and what is right and what is wrong. So you're going to be like
that title, Milo from Peter Molyneux.
Exactly like that. He was also the heir to the throne. And Peter Molyneux was teaching.
Peter Molyneux,
him.
the mad uncle on the throne.
Yeah, you do not want him to be teaching you anything. He only has love for digital dogs. No, in this game, you'll be like making decisions, which will then be reflecting on what the princess will kind of think of, like how I should do things and stuff. So it's a little bit like BioShock 2 or
that was not
Dishonored
comparison I saw coming.
Maybe, but yeah, it's probably nothing like that. But you have like an app, so instead of using the book to read the story, you have the app where you can like listen to the story or read it, and there's like full-on voice acting. There's like a soundtrack that's going to go with the app as well. You have like skill decks that you can customize throughout the game for your character, and then at the end you basically win by like having the princess be put on the throne. But then what kind of world have you created depending on what you've taught the princess? So if you're like, we're gonna go into this candy store and steal all this stuff, and then the princess is like, oh, okay.
Stealing is good.
Hey, yeah, stealing is good.
Those some actual quotes in the game, by the way. That's exclusive preview here on Dicebreaker.
We're glad to announce that Alex Meehan will be voice acting all of the characters.
Oh, can you imagine how
the character, the candy store grabber.
Yeah, that would be amazing. You can hit me up, Plaid Hat. Plaid Hat publishing this.
Newly independent Plaid Hat. And I will say, I think Wheels is the most kind of anti-app.
I was literally about to say, I'm not a fan of this.
Here we go.
But Plaid Hat did Forgotten Waters last year. I think it actually was the first game after they escaped the gravitational pull of Asmodee. And went independent again. And Forgotten Waters is incredible, and the app is really good. And I will say the voice acting in the app and the writing is like some of the best I think I've seen in a board game. Like it's not just kind of like writing that just does the job and you move on. It's genuinely funny. It's really well kind of voiced.
Matt, it could have been better if they'd hired me to like voice a sea urchin.
Rather than Christopher Sabat, professional voice actor, among others who are in that app.
I mean, I could be professional.
All it takes is one person to hire you.
Give me a suit. True, Give me a suit and I'll be professional.
So yeah, I'm intrigued by this. I think Plaid Hat have a really, really good track record. I'm not super familiar myself with Mice and Mystics or Stuff Fables, but I know people really like them. Jerry Hawthorne,
Stuff Fables
designer,
has
a
lot of love, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think Mice and Mystics is one of those sort of classics for family games as well. Like it's a one that I know a lot of people play with their kids.
And it's nice that like Jerry is still like, I'm gonna make games for you, Plaid Hat, even though you're independent. So it's good to see that they're still, because we want to support independent.
We do, and I think Plaid Hat have been killing it recently. Like, I'm really glad with the stuff they've been put out. It's obviously Summoner Wars is their best.
Well, I think the digital stuff is actually where they've been really leading the pack as well. Like the digital version of Summoner Wars is really good. They've got really interesting kind of format for it. Like say the Forgotten Waters app, and also the remote play app that let you play Forgotten Waters with a single copy over the internet worked really well, because that's how my friends and I played. So I've really high hopes for this. I think Plaid Hat will probably do a really good job of it.
And the artwork for this game looks really lovely as well. So okay. So that was that news. Matt Jarvis, tell us about Pokemon.
I will quickly. Angel B asks whether it's Christopher Sabat of who voiced Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z. Yes, it is that. Christopher Sabat is one of the voice actors in Forgotten Waters.
No wonder.
That's not the one that says over 10,000 of them, right?
Over 9,000.
I think you mean it's over 9,000, but actually in the original manga, it's over 8,000. And I corrected.
Why did I say anything?
You're right. It's the original manga that everyone quotes as a meme.
Yes. So Pokemon, a very quick bit of a FYI here. So they announced a while back there is a new Pokemon trading card game app in the works called Pokemon TCG Live. So there is Pokemon TCG Online, which is the existing one, which is I think only on PC. It's not on mobile. So Pokemon TCG Live will be on mobile. It is kind of, it's really bringing that app up to speed. If anyone's played the current app, it does feel like an app that was made about 10 years ago.
It feels like Neopets. Is what it feels like.
It works fine, but the presentation of it is awful and it breaks a lot. So, I am glad to see that they're putting a new one out. But what's happened to it, Matt Jarvis?
It's been delayed until next year. So to quote, provide trainers with a more polished experience, which basically means, hey, it's not done yet. We need to push it back.
You'll just have to spend another year fighting against clip art, I'm afraid. So
So they haven't specified when next year. They haven't. I don't think they've even given like a quarter that it might come out in. So it could be towards the start of the year. It could be later on. I don't think they've confirmed whether it will see a beta release or an alpha release, because Magic the Gathering Arena had a beta release, I think, for about a year before it officially came out. But I will say that it looks really promising as an app. As someone that's kind of into Pokemon, I'm not hugely invested in the card game. I think partly just because I don't go out and buy loads of cards and don't have the time to sift through them. This looks like the kind of thing I could get into. And a big part of that is the fact that they've orientated the screen vertically, so you don't have to turn your phone sideways like every other card game app. You can actually just play it holding your phone as you normally would.
You don't have as much
a small but major
width in Pokemon either, though, do you? Because you only ever have one creature out.
Yeah,
you've also got like a bench, but you can.
You've got a bench, but
I think
it's one of
that
those...
wouldn't work with Magic, because you'd have like a whole row of things.
Yeah, and also like I think hands from my experience, your hand is rarely as big.
Yeah.
Rarely gets as big as some like Magic decks do. So because you can play as many Pokemon as you like, for example, onto the bench, like on your turn, you're not. I think you can, right? You can play as many Pokemon as you like on your bench, right?
I think you can have up to 6, but you can.
No, but I mean, like on one turn,
in one
you
turn,
can like
yeah,
just play them on. So like, you're not gonna have 5 Zubats in your hand at any point. You want those Zubats on the bench, damn it! And how are they gonna become gold bats otherwise?
Yeah, and I don't think you really build decks around card draw as you can do in Magic. So, like you say, it's never that often that you have a hand full of cards. There are occasional training cards that do it.
The only thing you really want to worry about is energy, sort of energy flow, let's call it. That I'm trying to be vaguely technical, but like, having a good regular source of energy is a good idea. But there are plenty of cards that can help you get that. So
words for life, really. I wish I had a regular supply of energy.
Yeah, because you want to do a flamethrower, right, Matt?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I need to do my V move.
You need to do your V move, yeah. Right. Matt Jarvis, what's this last story?
Before this was just a quick one because I thought it was very cool. But Meehan, you spotted this this thing from friend of the site, Spencer
It's the best thing that's ever happened to the RPG
playing
space.
Blades in the Dark, an RPG that we like very much, with Beyblades, when you just put it all together into Beyblades in the Dark, is
Spencer Stark is a person we like very much as well. So
disclaimer from Wheels. Spencer Stark is your friendo.
Yes, we're having a VR date next week. I'm very excited.
Oh, don't.
I love Spencer Stark with all my heart.
Yeah, Spencer Stark.
Yeah, this is incredible.
Designer of Alice is Missing, which has won multiple Emmy awards.
Yeah.
And a producer on Critical Role. Basically, I think it was last week or something, I just saw like Spencer put a tweet out about this game, this hack that they had made called Beyblades in the Dark.
It's just incredible. Like when you see it on paper, you're just like, of course.
What else?
Yeah, and there's actually on the article, there's the embedded tweet where you can actually like watch them like
let it rip.
Beyblades, let it rip.
Please let it rip.
It's Beyblade.
For those who may not know what a Beyblade is,
how dare you? First and foremost.
Firstly, how dare you? They are a toy that was
spinning
particularly
tops.
popular in the UK and the US, probably in the early 2000s. I think they're still going, as far as I know.
I believe so. Yeah.
But I remember them being in schoolyard, like when I was a kid.
And they were banned for our school anyway. They banned them because they were just spinning bits of plastic and metal
into people's eyeballs.
Yeah, no, we literally had a kid shoot a Beyblade into someone else's face, and that was the last straw for our school.
Yeah, kids will find a way to make something violent, but no, and there was actually like an anime and a manga as well for it, but Spencer, I reached out to Spencer to say, well, what is this? Tell me more. And they came back to me with all this lovely information. You can read all of it on the article, and I recommend you read the article because it is very good. Because Spencer kind of explains how it works in the context of the game. Essentially, Blades in the Dark is a very good RPG by John Harper. And usually you roll a collection of dice before you start your mission. You're doing heists. The engagement roll, where you kind of decide what situation you're sort of getting into, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, because you start everything in Blades in the Dark happens like immediately, so you don't like, oh, you turn up at the door, let's start the thing. You are like already doing the heist.
In the heist, yeah.
So your engagement role is basically like how well it has gone until now.
The next Lin-Manuel Miranda musical, In the Heist. Sorry, can't resist it. But the Beyblade battles, as they're known, that's what Spencer called them, replaces the normal sort of dice roll for the engagement roll. And it was really clever. Like, they replaced, essentially, they kind of had a dice represent, like, this is this dice roll area, this is this dice roll, like, range. And then whichever one was like, oh, okay, that's the situation. But Yeah, they also, I didn't include this in the article because it kind of felt like it didn't quite fit, but they did tell me that apparently, this is actually one of the players, they told me they were apparently just at a party and someone turned up with like a briefcase.
That is
and
100% what I aspire to.
Yeah, that is what you want to be.
The confidence to rock up to a party, briefcase full of attaché case.
They turned up with a briefcase, and at first everyone was like,
Agent 47 with a case you'd assume has a sniper rifle in it, but is actually
at first everyone was like, "Oh, what's in there? I wonder what it could be." Wink. And then the person who brought it opened it up, but it was full of Beyblades.
Yes.
And then they just started playing Beyblades, and everyone was like, "This is the best."
So
and
good.
Then I think someone, the same person who told me that information, was like, "Oh, they just suddenly, while they were deciding what RPG they wanted to play next, one of them just said Beyblades in the dark," and then they were like, "This is," incredible. And Spencer was like, "I couldn't stop thinking about it. I have to do it."
How could you?
Right, yeah. I imagine them also just the Beyblades like nestled into velvet line.
It was
like
velvet,
sunk into each like special.
Like a Warhammer army.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think Spencer actually sent me like an image of the briefcase. And I can share it with you guys if you want, but it's felt. It looks like there's like proper foam lining in there.
We can maybe use it as when we put this up live offers. Let's use it as the artwork.
Yeah, it's very good. But yeah, you should really read that article to get the full kind of story. It's just a lovely, fun little news. This is not an official thing. It's literally something that Spencer did as fun, and you can do it yourself by like following the rules listed in the article. And you can the fun thing is they played the battles on like a full map of Duskfall, which is the city that the RPG takes place in. You can download for free a map that will serve as like that kind of, you print it out and then you can play. You just need Beyblades. I don't know where you get those from.
You can get them on
Toys R Us.
You can find
Amazon them. You can get them from those places.
Yeah.
The fact that you said you can do this at home made me think of the alternative, where it's like, these are licensed Beyblade professionals. Do not try this at home.
Please don't try this at home. You will fire a Beyblade into someone's eye and
get it banned from your high school.
Yeah, I will also say, funny enough, that one of the person who played this hack was a Bria, from who was a dungeon master for Critical Role spin-off
Quiddy
series
on Twitter.
Quiddy, who is now doing Adventure Zone spin-off as well. So there you go. All roads lead back to a Bria.
Roads lead to Beyblade.
Beyblades. Yeah. So there you go. Read the article. It's fun.
Yeah. Speaking of reading articles, I'm going to give a few quick shout-outs for other things you should go and read over on Dicebreaker.com. We had a preview of Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, which is the new game from the folks behind Wander Home. Austin Taylor wrote up a very interesting preview that kind of compared it to things like Spirited Away. It's like got some legacy game stuff in there where you unlock things with stickers. There's a bit of Moomins. It sounds really wonderful.
Moomins?
A bit of Moomins, bit of Foster's Home for Imaginary Kids.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I can't believe you just You can't believe you just referenced that. It is. Will's is right.
Matt.
It is.
It's actually over 8,000.
Yes, but you should go and read that. Meehan, you wrote a piece on Critical Role and how you feel about it at the eve of the third campaign. Chase, our wonderful news reporter, of course, spoke with United Paizo Workers, which is the first union or one of the first unions in the tabletop RPG industry, in the wake of the allegations over at Paizo, the Pathfinder and Starfinder RPG publisher. We also have Kaylin Ellis, who wrote about alignment in D&D and why you should maybe consider using them, even though they might have some flaws and a lot of people don't really use them nowadays. They can have some interesting like world building elements and can be useful if your players agree to them. So go and check all that out over on Dicebreaker.com. Also, hey, do you like watching us? Do you like pretending to talk with us from behind the screen? Maybe you'd like to join us actually, on one of these podcasts. Well, good news, because we're actually hiring. We're looking for someone to come and join Liv and Wills over on the video team.
I didn't know where you were going with this. I thought we were going to do live audience contributions or something.
Not yet, but we're looking for a junior video producer to come and join the video team, and the whole team as well, because we all do all the video stuff for points. So we're looking for someone. The main thing to highlight with this is that you don't need to have loads of video producer experience. We're looking for someone to come in who's just really passionate, kind of has a lot to say, has a lot of kind of potential to grow and learn on the job. It's not something where you need to have been producing TV shows for the last 10 years, anything like that. You should come, just if you got a lot to say about board games and TCGs and RPGs, and hey, you think it might be fun to work with us, come and apply, because we'd love to hear from you.
Also highlight that it is a local position.
Yes,
so if you're in the US, unless you're willing to move it out to the UK,
sunny Brighton,
then
We'll also say we're aware that that makes it difficult for some folks to apply, but unfortunately, given that we make videos in the studio about board games, it's one of those jobs that is unfortunately kind of limited based on how much you can be in the office. So we're looking for someone who can relocate or already lives nearby enough to commute. But as we said before, we want to hear from marginalized voices. We want people who have not had a job in this industry before to give it a go. Liv had literally never made a video before she joined us. We will teach you how to make video. The most important thing is you love board games, you love talking about them, and you like being on camera. That's pretty much it.
And also you can railroad this podcast completely off the track, and that you can tease Matt Jarvis about liking anime.
Yeah,
if you like anime,
that's more of a benefit than a requirement.
But seriously, like if you're thinking, oh, I'd love to do that, but I'm not sure if it's quite right for me. I really like board games, but just get in touch. Honestly, we just love to hear from you. You don't need to have any experience, like we've been saying. You just need to be super passionate and like the promise for talent, because we'll be there to support you through. So if you head over to the website, you can find more information and how to apply.
Do it. We want to see that.
Come and join us. Hey, it's pretty fun.
It's good.
As Smash Mouth once said, you won't shine if you don't glow.
Exactly.
These lot are all right,
Hey now, you're a Dicebreaker.
Get
your board game on.
Right.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we've got something important to talk about.
It's time.
Very important.
I know that this podcast has been a lot of fun up to this point. But we've got a very serious point to make.
We have a memorial to do.
Yes, in memorandum of original Happy Salmon, which sadly they announced this week. Exploding Kittens, which acquired.
Sorry, I'm just.
So, Exploding Kittens.
It's all right, Will. It's all right.
The company behind Exploding Kittens and Fro Burrito and other games of that ilk revealed this week their new version of Happy Salmon, the party game which we've spoken about before, that we played yesterday on the stream. That was originally published by North Star Games, and Exploding Kittens acquired it over the summer and said, hey, we're going to re-release this. We're going to make some minor revisions, give it, I think they said something like an Exploding Kittens twist. And they've now revealed this, and it's basically the same game, except it's not.
Tell me the bad news. Yeah, come on.
The gameplay is basically the same. I think they've introduced a new free-player variant. But shockingly, controversially,
rip off the Band-Aid, Matt.
They've got rid of the fish. They've got rid of the fish bag. I'm going to say it, the best things about Happy Salmon, which is an incredible game. I would say one of the best party games of all time.
One of the best board game containers in the entire industry. It's
fabric fish. And they've just stuck it in a normal kind of cardboard box with an Exploding Kittens looking
art style. It's just makes me sick on that, honestly. Sick to my teeth. Your video was frozen, by the way, Matt, which is fun.
This is interesting.
You've both frozen for me.
You've frozen in the position your face should be making when you're talking about this horrible act where they've ruined
just look disgusted. Matt Jarvis has been ejected from the podcast.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Matt, you're in the wrong. You're Alex Meehan now.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. Wills, you disappeared. Me and you froze. and then it was just me talking to myself. I have no idea if you could hear me or.
We could hear you.
Oh,
On
strange.
the ether, yeah.
You were just doing this.
I was just Adeling it. All right.
Now you're me. You've stolen my identity.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Now I'm Alex.
No, you're
You strike one Alex down.
Yeah,
another
the second
springs
Alex
up in their
position is
place.
up for grabs. Matt's making a play for it.
God.
So,
But yeah,
well, you could hear me anyway. Apologies if I was speaking over the top of you because I didn't know. I'm going to move this cat from off my table. Yes, they've taken Happy Salmon out of the fish bag and into a normal cardboard box.
Normal, boring
and
box.
I'll be honest, it's pretty disappointing. You know, the fish is a big part of the fun of that game. It really just sums up that game at a glance because it's a fabric fish.
It's a
and
happy
you know
looking
you're
fish.
in for a good time. Yeah.
It's a happy salmon.
It's a happy salmon.
It really is.
Yeah.
Now
And
it
you'll
looks
be
like
a
an
happy
indifferent
salmon.
Place.
You'll be a happy salmon too when you play it. That's what it's telling you. But now
classic
when
tagline.
I look at that box,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't feel happy at all.
No,
And I don't feel like a
upset.
salmon
I feel
neither.
upset, to be honest.
The well-known phrase "as happy as a salmon"
Yeah.
no longer applies. So for this week's segment, we decided let's talk about other versions of games that would claim to maybe improve them, but actually just weren't as good as the original, weren't as good as the original.
I'm going to name
version.
this segment for you, Matt, which is a thing we haven't done for a while.
Let's do it.
Ruined by the reprint.
That's good. I like that.
I like that.
Thanks very much. Available now for branding as a consultant.
So yeah, if you've folks in the chat, if you've got your own suggestions, we'd love to hear them. But for now, let's. Has anyone got one that immediately comes to mind as a game that just? It doesn't need to be a complete travesty, but maybe it just lost some of that magic.
I'm delighted to announce that with Lodi's sad departure, we no longer have to talk about Camel Up, so we can just immediately just throw that one out the window.
Exception to the rule anyway, because the second edition's better. Anyway.
Yep. Thank you.
Oh,
Matt,
what's that? No one to complain.
Matt, I was so close to getting rid of it, but you're absolutely wrong. No, but whatever. Anyway, Camelot's pretty tenuous anyway. What I want to talk about is something that has actually been rectified, which I talked about earlier. There was a time where Summoner Wars was killed, and they tried to replace it with a spiritual successor called Crystal Clans, which was just nowhere near as good.
It's not a terrible game. I liked it, but
good.
Admittedly, I played it before I played Summoner Wars, and having now played Summoner Wars, it's like, it's not Summoner Wars.
The sad thing was, it was like it had like the bones of Summoner Wars. Like it had like the sort of the cards that you put on a grid. It had the fun factions. The artwork was lovely, I will say. Like the artwork on the factions was amazing in Crystal Clans. Especially the Bee Knights were very good. But Crystal Clans was like playing the corpse of my favorite game.
Devastating.
It was very upsetting. And yeah, I that was the thing that jumped in my head, which is why I thought it would be a good segment. It's just I feel like there are some games that they get re-released, and I think the spirit of the original just gets completely taken out of them. Which is to get your tail out of the camera, for God's sake, boy. That's my biggest complaint about the box art on Camel Up, is the fact that I don't think it has the same like fun kid game spirit that it had, and I think that's what's happened with our beloved Happy Salmon as well.
Happy Salmon.
I can't hang that box off a lanyard, can I? Take it around PAX and then have an impromptu game with our fan meetup, can I? Can't do that.
Wills, you'd look ridiculous.
I would look ridiculous. Just like the game
people would point and laugh at you.
They'd throw rotten fruit at me.
Yeah, instead of being like, "Oh yay, here comes Happy Salmon," they'd be like, "Who's this idiot?"
David Gillam has said Sheriff of Nottingham. I haven't seen the new edition.
I've heard this, the art style.
Yeah, I've seen the new edition, and no, I agree. I don't like it as much as the original.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh no.
They've gone for an extremely cartoony style.
It's kind of the same, like it's got the same face as the original Sheriff of Nottingham Sheriff, but just really like, really uncanny valley almost.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to check your apples." The original Sheriff of Nottingham artwork, I'm like, that's pretty good.
It's great. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. This one I'm not so keen on either. I will say, when reprints don't stray too far from the original, and they give the game a new lease of life, then I'm like, okay, I'm on board with this, because it is such like a crying shame when a game just does not get picked up again for print.
Yeah,
it just goes out of print, and you never see it again.
Rather it be ugly than dead. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd rather it be ugly than dead. Like, although what's happened to Happy Salmon is almost worse than death.
Well, I mean, that's, they've dressed up a corpse. That's what they've done. Isn't it? It's like it's like Danny DeVito in that Always Sunny episode where he gets his makeup done by a mortician.
My pick for this is so there is a game that I like quite a bit.
Yeah.
Called Shadow Hunters.
Yeah, I saw this coming.
Anime Spiral.
Yeah. So Shadow Hunters is a game that was created by a Japanese designer and released by Z-Man, I believe. And this is a game that is very weird, almost bad but good, in the sense that
it's like a B movie.
Yeah, it's like a B movie in the sense that
B movie.
Or the B movie, yeah. In the sense that it's kind of a bit broken, like Betrayal, in the sense that the mechanics themselves aren't foolproof. But there's a lot of random elements, and sometimes you will just die for no fault of your own. But that's just how it rolls, baby. That's how the cookie crumbles in Shadowhunters. But it's all part of the experience, and this is the game that I fell in love with, and then shared with my friends, and they fell in love with it. Initially, their reaction to it was, "This is stupid," and then the more they played it, the more they came round to being like,
I never got past that stage.
"This is stupidly good." But the theme of Shadowhunters, and one of the reasons why I was initially kind of drawn to it, was it's like an anime. I know, as much as I complain about Matt Jarvis talking about anime, but it has a very sort of distinctive look to it, where it's like, here are the good guys, they're the hunters, here are the bad guys, they're the shadows, and then you've got neutral characters in between. And like some of the character designs are a bit icky. Other ones are like really kind of stupid and weird and great.
The thing is, that like you say,
yes.
As you derided Matt for his anime opinions, but I think it's common knowledge that you do love hot anime boys.
I do love hot anime boys. I will, and hot anime girls, as long as they're,
including if they're half snail.
Yeah, if they're half snail. Yeah,
don't bring that up.
We don't have time to go into the snail visual
novel. There are a lot of hot anime girls in it that I'm not hugely into that because of the proportions of their body. But there are some really great, stupidly designed characters in it, including a guy who's just like basically Gus from Berserk. That's basically what he is. There's also just a man who is just, I love money. There's a lich. Essentially, there are characters that look like they come from a completely different world that have been put in with these other characters, and they're like, this works, this is great. And I just think it's all part of the charm of it. If people want to know what it is, it's a social deduction game, sort of, but then there are elements of, you roll these dice and you go to this area, sort of, and then you kind of do this thing, and there's an obtuse thing that you pick up a card and it just says you are injured, and you're like, okay. But yeah, there's this game, and it apparently, I did not know this, it went out of print for like a while, or at least it wasn't easily available. I was lucky enough to pick this up several years ago from a board game cafe where I played it, and I was like, well, they've got a copy, I'll buy it. Apparently they are now quite rare. I did not know this, because Z-Man essentially stopped printing it, and now it's really hard to get that copy, that version. However, there is, and I was recently informed of this, a new version of the game called Fangs. by Cosmos.
Great name, lads. Great name. Knocked out of the park.
And if you look at the front cover, holy hell.
Yeah.
This looks like something straight out of Buffy.
Pound Shop Twilight is what I call it.
Yeah. You said Pound Shop Twilight. I said Buffy mixed with Blade, mixed with Interview with a Vampire, mixed with oh my god, what's that really bad vampire show? The southern one.
True Blood.
God.
God.
It has True Blood vibes as well. So essentially, trashy vampire era.
Gonna upset so many fandoms all at once.
Wasn't the original so endearing to you because it was trashy though?
But it was trashy in a unique way. This one's just trashy in a very generic, like, okay, I've seen this. It was before. Camp. Yeah, it was just weird, and this is just like, okay, vampires, and also, oh look, another social deduction game with vampires and werewolves and human. I've never seen one of those before. Come on, it's just such a boring theme because we've seen it before so many times in these kind of games. And essentially it looks like it's werewolves versus vampires versus humans, and presumably the humans maybe are the neutral characters. That's what I'm guessing. And the vampires and the werewolves are kind of find each other. But and also the tagline is deduce, deceive, destroy, or die. Like,
I think it definitely loses something when you pronounce it deduce.
Deduce. Well, yeah, looking at, like, you know, that the spiral board wheels, it's just gone. It's just gone. Like
that's the only thing I remember about that game.
Yeah, it's just standard goes up.
Oh no, sorry. There's a second thing I remember about that game, which is all the players are represented by, for some reason, the first letter of their name on the board.
Yeah.
Very confusing.
Yeah, very confusing because there are characters with the same
letter. Yeah.
Yeah, but you just got to deal with it, Will. I'm afraid. The art, I'm looking at some of the components of the artwork. It's so boring. Like, Xana's heart. Who wants to go there? I want to go to the graveyard land. I don't want to go to Xana's heart. And the artwork just looks really boring and rubbish. So,
what about you, Matt?
I was trying to think of things and I was struggling. I know that I don't have loads of experience with it, but they re-released Ghost Stories as Last Bastion, and they basically just made it a generic kind of fantasy theme.
That was another Japanese style sort of game, wasn't it? Ghost Story?
I believe it may be Chinese.
It was kind of like
mythology.
It was.
But you were defending a graveyard or village from ghosts rather than just defending a castle or something. But yeah, they just made it kind of like blandly fantasy-esque. One that's more personal to me is I did a video on this earlier in the year, but the re-release of Ticket to Ride Europe that they put out for its 10th anniversary, where they supersized the board and put all the trains in little tins and painted the trains. It was just a real disappointment. It was over, I think it's £100, I think.
God.
So I think it's $100 as well.
£100 on Ticket to Ride.
For a copy of this.
And a fine game, but not one I would spend £100 on.
And the worst thing about it was that for a premium edition, as they build it, it was just very hit and miss. So some of the paint on the trains wasn't properly aligned. The map was just bigger, but didn't really add anything. There were some of the cards, they changed the backs of the cards to just, I think some of them just had the logo of the game, whereas before it was this illustration of trains and kind of like a station clock, and it just came together. And they changed the rainbow cards, which are kind of like wild cards that you can use for any color. They just changed them to be predominantly kind of gray with a little bit of rainbow, rather than being like a spectrum across the entire card. So it also then just made them harder to see from a distance across the table.
A bit homophobic
when you're about to pick them up.
Let's say it now.
It just, it was just, it was a real disappointment, particularly because it was billed as this kind of celebration of the game. It just felt especially,
They did the same thing with Pandemic, didn't they? Like the 10th anniversary.
Yeah, and
edition.
I think the anniversary of Pandemic, which was also about £100, I believe the board, at least in the original print run, was misprinted. So they missed one of the connections between cities. So they then had to release stickers
Oh my god, that's embarrassing. God almighty.
And actually, speaking of which, Spectre Ops. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the standalone. It's an expansion, but also standalone sequel to Spectre Ops, and I can't remember the name of it. But I believe that had multiple typos on the board as well, so they had to put out a sticker pack to correct that, which is a shame because that game, otherwise, Spectre Ops is a fantastic game because it's basically just Metal Gear Solid, the board game, to the point where the designer Emerson Matsushi was meant to create Metal Gear Solid, the board game, until it was cancelled,
and then that went down the
because
toilet.
Spectre Ops was originally inspired by Metal Gear Solid. So yeah, I think those are the things that tend to wind me up more, is when it feels like gameplay changes are frustrating, but generally it's when the components themselves feel like a downgrade.
It's like you've had a second chance and somehow made it worse. What's going on?
There have been occasions where games have moved from things like wooden tokens to plastic, and obviously wood is both better for the environment, but also has a kind of nicer feel to it. It's just warmer to hold and less kind of like glossy and sticky and so on. It's a shame.
Well, there you go. Games that were
ruined
by the reprint. A brand new Dicebreaker podcast sub-show. Let's do some questions.
Yeah, let's do some questions. Again, if you've got some questions, please send them in, but maybe give it a couple of days to podcast@dicebreaker.com. Maybe send them in from next Monday.
Or just get your pigeon, your messenger.
Yeah, just send the pigeon. That'll be fine.
Send all the pigeons to me.
Send the pigeon.
Love pigeon.
Yeah, we do it all kinds of message inputs. You can send us an AOL, Snapchat, whatever you want.
Yeah, or you can tweet us at Join Dicebreaker, or if you're watching live in the chat, just drop it in. But let's take some questions quickly before we round off this week's podcast.
Did anyone pick up on the fact that I was digging on Snapchat there, saying it's become as relevant as AOL? Little jab.
You nailed it. Snapchat will be quaking in its boots.
Yeah, suckle up on Snapchat.
For 30 seconds and no longer.
Baron Breakfast?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a question here from Baron Breakfast who says, what upcoming board/card games are you most excited for? I'm going to open this one with something that is actually not very new, but it's new for me, and I saw it in the office and everyone saw how excited I was to play it, and I'm so pumped to get back in there and play it.
Is it Kingdom Hearts?
It's not the Kingdom Hearts board game. You'll be fascinated to learn that. It is instead. Oh God, what's the name of it?
Oh, you're excited for it, but look
I know. I can't
remember it.
I do this with all. I'm so bad.
Mutant Land.
Oh, you like upcoming board games? Do you name 3 of their albums?
Oh crud. Oh,
Mutant Land.
Describe
something
it.
Like that.
Oh, Necromolds.
Necromolds, thank you. There we go. Necromolds is a game that came out a while ago. I think it was kickstarted. But we got a message from the designer who was like, oh, hey, do you want to do anything with this? And I was like, oh, I've always wanted to do something with this. I've just never been able to get through to you. It is a miniatures war game, but the miniatures are made on the fly out of Play-Doh. So you get these little books, you shove some Play-Doh in them, you slap them closed and it makes a miniature. You play a war game with them, and then when you kill someone else's unit, you get to squish it into the table with a ring, and it becomes a token. It's so cool. I can't wait to play it. That is my thing that I'm most hyped for at the moment.
Squish it.
Squish it
Drop
real good.
Ooey gooey.
Alex Meehan, what are you looking forward to?
Oh goodness. I write so much news, and then I'm like, I don't actually think about anything that's coming up. Okay, so I'm looking forward to. We've actually got a copy in the office out this week. I think is the new Camel Up spin-off. Camel Up off season, which has been sat in the office, and I've been looking at it and going, I see you over there. Hello. Shaking that camel ass.
Shaking that hump.
Yeah, shaking that hump. I want to play Camel Up off season so much because I love Camel Up.
Yeah.
And it's just more. It's a different game from Camel Up. Like it's very much different. It's like a auction game mixed with some inventory stuff. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually looking forward to this as much as I was having a few jokes, a few laughs. I'm actually looking forward to this Familiar Tales because I've not had a chance to play Forgotten Waters, for example, and Matt Jarvis raves about that game.
I love it. Yeah.
A lot, and I'm like, I want in. Because to be honest, I don't have a problem with companion app games because I think they're actually really good. So, or they have the potential to be really good. So, and I love a bit of narration, and the idea of teaching this princess is intriguing. Like your decisions have consequences, but it's kind of a different take on that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. What else am I looking forward to?
Orangaful is looking forward to going to PAX Unplugged and trying to play all the things. Well, guess what?
Oh my goodness.
Guess what?
Oh my god.
Unless something disastrously goes wrong, like, for example, my passport not turning up in time, we're also going to PAX Unplugged. We're going to be doing some shows, we're going to be playing some games, and maybe we'll try and do another little meet up on the show floor as well. Properly socially distanced, of course, but yeah. Look out for that, which is very exciting.
We should have some more information on that soon.
Yeah. Super excited. Matt, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Arcs, Collapse and Conflict in the
Oh,
Void.
yeah!
The new
Arcs!
Cole Whirley game, which was announced, which probably isn't a next year game, I would suspect, but I love everything Cole Whirley does. I really want to give that game a go because I absolutely adore Oath. I absolutely adore Root. Pax for me is an absolute masterpiece. Yeah, everything Cole Whirley makes turns to gold.
Yeah,
so I'm excited for that.
Magician.
Yeah, I really want to play that new Dune game. In fact, the kind
Which one?
The slimmed down one, Conquest and Diplomacy, a game of conquest and diplomacy. Because Dune is a fantastic game, but it is very long. It's not super complex, but there's quite a lot going in, which makes it hard to introduce to new people. So I'm hoping this finds a middle ground where has a lot of the things I love about that game, which is backstabbing people and constantly being at each other's throats and forming alliances only to break them a few turns later and turn on each other.
Such a spicy boy, Matt Jarvis.
In an hour
Matt
or two
Jarvis,
rather than 4.
Spicy boy.
I really like games where it's endless heel turns and people just turn on each other. It's
because Matt Jarvis is so lovely all the time. So then you just choose board games to bring out that darker side of you.
Big, powerful businessmen seeking out dominatrixes and stuff like that. You know, you got to have that change.
It's exactly like that.
Exactly like that.
Sweetheart in the streets, bastard in the character sheets.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. Alex Meehan, would you like to read this one from Troost, please? Who's been a Dicebreaker Plus member for 2 months. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Troost. Also, we had, just quickly, we had a super chat as well from Scott Perkins, who says they've applied. My crippling trading card game addiction may be of some use. I'm only in South London, so not too much of a hike. Thank you very much for your application, Scott. We will have a look at
it. Troost asked, after the great travesty that is the new Happy Salmon packaging, which game deserves an amazing new box, bag, miscellaneous container?
Speaking of container,
I knew you were going to do that. I knew it.
I'm not going to do it. It's fine.
Do you know what? I think point salad should come in a vegetable-shaped bag.
Oh, that's a great shout.
That's
fantastic. In the same way that Happy Salmon does.
Yeah, that's a great shout.
That's an excellent shout.
There's my mic drop moment.
Mic drop. Yeah.
I will.
It doesn't get better than this.
Yeah, I'll go down a different route and say my wife and I own all the expansions for Mansions of Madness 2nd edition. And that original box is not big enough to store all of them. So we have that box, which is basically just miniatures. And then we have one of the expansion boxes, I think the most recent one from a couple of years ago, because they're not making any more now. And that is kind of all the rule books and map tiles and so on. So I would just like a box that stores all of that in a neater way, where I don't have to just jumble like 17 snake people together with 2 star spawns. And
I've got too many snake people.
Because as is the classic Fantasy Flight way, that original box is just the valley.
The trench, yeah.
God,
I
the
hate
Fantasy
the
Flight trench. It's terrible. Also, Twilight Imperium 4 has not a great storage solution. And there's a lot of stuff in that game, so I wish that they had done a better job with the inlay.
Yeah, I agree. Every Fantasy Flight box rejigged. Please stop doing the trench. And
That,
stop.
I mean, that could be your answer, me, and just every Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy game? Fantasy Flight, sorry.
I don't care about Final Fantasy.
No, Final Fantasy, they should just stop making them. Right, so...
Wow, I feel we've gone too far.
That's in response to the Camel Up comment.
Okay. So I am a huge advocate for very small boxes. So there are too many games that just have all this empty space that is not necessary. Please make your boxes smaller. I know you want to take up shelf space. I know you want to stand out to people. But smaller games, I feel like, are actually getting really in these days. Because guess what? People don't want to pay like 20 quid for a game when they could pay £10. Just put it in a smaller box and you save money. And guess what? Hey, you're also saving the environment because you're using fewer materials. Yes, hello.
In a comically shaped bag.
Or in a comically shaped bag.
David Gillam says cockroach poker should be kept in a large cockroach bag.
Oh my god, yes.
Oh my wife.
Oh my god, can you imagine that?
Can you imagine a little
has
fluffy
a fear
moth
of cockroaches.
Moth?
No, what about a happy little cockroach? Doesn't look like
what if the cockroach was jovial?
Yeah, what if the cockroach was happy? Because he looks quite happy on the front cover, that cockroach. Yeah. He's having a great time. He's just serving cards.
As we're running out of time, should we all answer each of these 3 questions we've got left?
I was just going to do the next one, actually, and save the...
Well, should we just do one answer each, if that makes sense?
I'll
do sports game.
Okay. Do you want to do cookbook, Meehan?
Yeah, whatever. I eat.
Quick 5 questions.
I eat.
All right. Meehan, you're up.
Yeah, Huxley Angel asks, apart from D&D, what game would you base a cookbook around?
It's a good question.
Not point salad, because I don't actually like salads that much.
Yeah, me neither. They suck.
Well, unless they've got couscous in. I love couscous. Love me a bit of couscous.
Fruit salad out of a tin was a treat as a kid.
Yeah.
Have a bang on that.
Where did you grow up?
There's mysterious pale like fruit substance that was in it. It's like, is this a grape?
No, because we all know the best pudding ever made is chocolate sponge with chocolate custard. Thank you very much.
That's a weird way of pronouncing banoffee pie.
Banoffee pie is fantastic. I'll rep you on that one, Matt.
Cockroach poker. No, I'm being serious now. Okay, what game should food be based on? Oh god, I'm terrible at this. The thing is, right, a lot of board games are just not really suitable because there's just not a huge amount of lore involved in like a lot of board games. You're like, oh, how do you make a dish from this? Role-playing games.
What?
What did you say?
It sounded like a fax machine. I don't know. The thing is, a lot of RPG saying Wonder Home. There you go. I want a cookbook based on Wonder Home because like it's very homely and there'll just be pies.
Yeah.
And delicious.
Orangutan says Wingspan cookbook. How to cook every dog in the world. I think that's a great one.
No, I'm a vegetarian. I don't want to eat the birdies.
I'll jump in with Benjamin Dean's question. What's the best / your favourite sports-based board game? I'll actually talk about a little indie one that we got recently, which is just, I think it's literally just one guy who made it and has sent us a little prototype copy, which is really sweet. But it is called Gridball, I think, or something similar to that. I can't remember the name of anything at the moment. And it is like a little like football tactics game where you have like 4 players and a little puck. And you basically like push them along these little isometric grids, and then you're punting things in different directions. Zoe's mum has arrived, so please ignore that in the background. Hello.
Hello. Everyone, Zoe's mum.
Mum, are you okay?
Ooh.
I think there's some wine gone.
Oh, sorry.
This is great.
This is I know.
Yeah,
I know. It's like a little window into
mise en scène.
The mise en scène. Yeah.
Mise en scène.
It's really good, and it's like the rulebook is like 5 tiny little like square pages, and it's like really easy to pick up. And I think it's actually a really nice little sports game. It deserves a little shout out, so I wanted to give it.
Matt Jarvis.
All right, finish now with this one from Chris Naylor. What would you recommend to play after playing gateway games such as Catan, Carcassonne, etc.? Don't want anything that's too rules heavy. I would say after Gateway Games, if you played Catan and Carcassonne, I would actually say Queen Domino is a good step up.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Queen Domino. I think it needs more love. It doesn't quite get as much attention as King Domino, but I think King Domino is a little more kind of straightforward and simple. But I think Queen Domino is an all-timer.
I think also like maybe pick a genre that you're interested in and start exploring. Like I think deck builders are a good place to go when you started, because you start to learn about synergy and like how to chain events and all that kind of stuff.
In fact, there is a wonderful article on Dicebreaker.com that's like specifically deck building games. Where do you start and where do you go?
Well, and we have another article by Rick Conley about games that are like Catan if you like particular parts of Catan. So if you just like the resource trading, or you just like the dice rolling, or like Will says, I think like finding parts of games that you've played. There are so many games now that you can almost just pick 2 or 3 different mechanics or themes that you like. There'll be a game that involves them somewhere.
Find the thing that resonates with you and chase that high.
There'll be a deck builder with resource management. There'll be a worker placement game with like engine building. It's all on the table.
And I will complete the trio by saying on the Dicebreaker YouTube channel, you can find a video in which, with Christmas coming up as well, games that you wish you didn't have to play at Christmas and things to replace them with. What to play instead of Monopoly and Trivial Suit and all that kind of stuff.
Sarah and I spent our first Christmas together when we moved into our home for the first time. We just played Queen Domino all day. Then we watched the Captain Underpants film. Then we fell asleep. Yeah. It was a great Christmas.
Perfect. But that concludes our Dicebreaker podcast for this week, because I need to go and be a host.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much, Alex Meehan, for being here.
I love it.
Thank you, Wills.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you, everyone in the chat. We'll be back next Friday from 2 p.m. GMT live. Between then, you can catch us on dicebreaker.com, youtube.com/dicebreaker, and of course on Twitter @joindicebreaker. Come and find us, send in your questions, let us know what you've been playing. We'd love to hear from you. And hey, if you want to come and work with us, go and apply for that junior video producer role, because we'd love to hear from you
More
there
info
as well.
On the website.
Yes, but until we meet again, have a lovely weekend. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely day.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.